Vocoders are really cool, and especially the one in Ableton Live has some really interesting settings and modes. So when you just put it on a sound, so I have this pretty basic bass sound over here. And now when I turn the vocoder on and it's just set to noise, it kind of just turns it into noise. One thing where that is useful is when you use the parallel processing technique that I showed you before. So create a chain, and then you just kind of use this as a layer to create some more high frequencies for the sound. Especially if I put an EQ after that with the low cut. Now I basically used that vocoder to add some high end to the sound. So then if you go and actually change it to a different mode, for example, the modulator mode, so that's when it actually uses itself as a carrier sound. And you get this kind of wet sound. And when you, again, use the parallel processing technique, you can create a pretty cool layer that way. Now, when you switch it to the external mode, you have to select an external input. So that's when you use an external input as a carrier. And you can use all kinds of sounds for this, like I said in the class. And traditionally it was used this way, that it was kind of, a vocoder was typically put on vocals, and then you would use a chord as a carrier. And you can do the same thing in this case. If you have, I have this like pretty simple serum chord, just a default sound with a chord. And then if you select that as the input for the vocoder, so external input, and then for input I select serum. Now you get these characters from that chord in your sound, and then you can dial in the settings. And again, like, you can use the parallel processing technique. And then instead of this chord, you can also even use other basses. So if I just put some random bass in here, and I select that as the input, audio from 5, so the bass itself sounded like this. So our sound kind of get characters from that sound, and then it gets especially interesting when you mess with like the stretching and the pitching settings that you have here, like the warping modes. And yeah, you can get some really intricate sound design this way, and there are a lot of possibilities to explore.